can go. Okay, Has, can you just repeat what you were saying about your attire today for me? What you're wearing or not?
It's a good segue for today's.
It is a good segue, actually, isn't it? Are they new shoes as well?
Yeah. What do you reckon?
Oh, smart, mate.
Yeah.
Smart.
Putting it on. I'm wearing Autograph by M&S.
I complimented your overshirt and was surprised to understand that it was from M&S. That was all. That's why I wanted to bring it up.
You were trying to make a thing of it, weren't you?
No, and then you said that they're shooting for a younger demographic. And that sort of surprised me as your answer. That
they used to aim for granddads, I think.
Yeah.
Tweed cardigans.
Yeah.
I could rock a tweed cardigan, I reckon.
I can't get on with the material, mate.
The itchiness.
Oh, it makes my whole body go crazy, yeah.
What about a peak cap?
What, like a flat peak?
Yeah.
Nah. If you're our age and you wear them, you've got to be called like Alfie. And you do a bit of Charlie on the weekend with your mates.
Yeah, and you wear a gilet.
Yeah.
To the city.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a roll neck.
Oh, yeah.
Gilet, roll neck, and a flat peak. And you say "bosh" all the time.
Bosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I think we've both said recently on the podcast.
What we just did now.
Mate, it's international.
I had a John style Chinese at the weekend though. That was good.
You had a what?
Big John. You know Big John.
Oh yeah. What do you mean? Just fucking loads?
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah.
How was it? Favorite Chinese dish?
I'm a man of very little imagination when it comes to Chinese.
Anything. Oh,
yeah,
Chinese
yeah,
food. Yeah,
anything. Mainly Chinese food. I'll go for the same thing.
Yeah, which is what?
Beef and black bean sauce.
That's it.
Egg fried rice.
Beef and green pepper in the black bean sauce.
Oh, you got to have the green peppers, yeah.
Yeah, I have beef and green pepper in the black bean sauce with shredded chili beef.
What? Just over the top of it? Bit crunch on the top?
No, just
On the side?
two dishes, bang, straight in the same dish for me. 2 full dishes, bang, straight in the dish. No rice. No rice, none of them noodles, nothing.
No accoutrements.
I told you what I have, mate. I have beef in a black bean sauce with green pepper and shredded chili beef. Both dishes, bosh, straight in my big Chinese dish that I've got at home.
You have a Chinese dish?
It's just a dish that I eat my Chinese out of.
Do you ever cheat on the Chinese and put an Indian in or something?
Yes, it's also my Indian dish when I get an Indian. Yeah. What curry do you go for, by the way, while we're here?
Well.
Oh, you're a connoisseur when it comes to this, are you?
Well, let's sort of put aside the authentic stuff that is home cooked, right?
Okay, that you've never cooked for me still yet.
You don't come to your friends' houses.
I'm at Brighton on the 12th. Not one offer to cook for me.
Well, after
I don't want you to cook for me, mate. I don't want you to cook for me.
You're not invited to my house.
No, good.
After what you said.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to stay there. You'd be wanting to go to the fucking cinema in the evening.
Shall we actually on the 12th?
No.
Oh. Madras. I love a madras.
Yeah. What rice? What?
Pilau rice.
Garlic rice, mate.
Are you trying to tell me?
Yeah. Yeah. If you want to be more authentic, you've got to
Yeah. Garlic rice. My mum has never made garlic rice.
Really?
No.
She should. And that's why I'll never come to yours for dinner, mate. Secret recipe, I want fucking 2 cloves of garlic in my rice.
There is garlic in the rice, you just don't call it garlic rice.
Not in normal rice, though, mate. Come on, mate, I'm the chef here. Anyway, let's move on from this.
We should bring up that long pork episode again.
I am a chef.
Right.
Did you see Gordon Ramsay's just had another kid?
Has he?
Number 6.
Good on him.
Yeah, well, there's not enough room on the planet for people to have that many kids.
Well, okay.
Okay, so, mate, today is going to be the International Men's Day special.
Oh, I just got the little in joke.
Oh, fuck me.
Sorry,
Did you not
mate.
get it?
Yeah, I forgot you have
6 kids.
700 kids.
So it's International Men's Day. It's International Men's Day this Sunday. So this podcast goes out on the Wednesday. So it's going to be a bit of a man special.
Favourite ones?
So we're going to start, as we always do, in the usual way with the check-in. But I've brought a bit of a different question today to get us to check in. The reason I've done this is because we both did a deep check-in. We got a lot of comments about the check-in last, by the way, on the last episode. We both went quite deep about certain things. And I felt if we just checked in today, we would do the typical thing of, yeah, I'm not fully out of it. It's still there a bit. So I thought I need to bring something different so that it doesn't just do that. Fair? Do you think that's what we'd have done?
Yeah.
If you were to just check in normally?
Yeah.
So I bought what I've called a powerful question. One that you
That'd be powerful.
admitted to me when you got here that you fucking didn't read it.
Yeah.
How might somebody make you feel loved today? Specifically today. And what I mean by that is taking into account everything that you've got going on.
So it's can I just say it's a hard question because I find it difficult. I find it difficult to seek that out from people. Do you know what I mean? I feel like I'm on autopilot, always just trying to provide for others. So it's almost like I find it difficult to even think about it.
What's difficult about it?
Like, even as I'm just thinking about it now, I'm just thinking, no, it's not. It's my job to do that for other people.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to be like a martyr here. I just genuinely...
No, this is why the question's
responsible.
powerful, yeah? Because I don't think nobody goes, oh, how do I feel loved? Yeah, do this, this, and this.
Yeah.
I think particularly, by the way, men, with a focus on men here,
Yeah.
I think we find it difficult to receive it.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just talking about that with someone yesterday, actually, just like, particularly in Asian culture and Black culture, like there's just generations of sort of nurture that just, I'm not saying it's just exclusively those two, but we're talking about in the context of that it's just generationally passed down, that actually this is not something that you should seek or get value from or want. And so, you know, that you're not taught how to be a dad. You know, you're not taught how to show love as a dad if you're a father, and you don't pass it on.
So sticking within the culture that you're talking about, that you're taught not to receive love, is that like from everywhere, from your parents?
Yeah,
relationships,
parents, infrastructure, cultural structures, and you're not taught not to love. You're just not taught to love. Does that make sense? Yeah, you're not like shown how to lean into being vulnerable, and you're not shown like the sort of emotional connectivity that I think we're trying to achieve now in our generation. I just don't think it was passed down from previous generations.
Yeah.
Like in the first wave of immigration in the country, it was just get on, head down, work. There's no room for that.
Yeah.
And that passed down, through generations. And we're only just starting to, I think, explore that a bit more.
Yeah.
So answering the question, I'm not a big fan of like compliments and stuff like that. I just don't like the limelight.
Well, how does it make you feel if somebody gives you a compliment?
Awkward.
Right.
Yeah, just a bit, I don't like the limelight. I just find it uncomfortable. But I realise that there's something to explore there.
Yeah.
But what makes me feel loved is being heard.
Yeah.
And being seen.
Yeah.
I don't need big gestures, but just like somebody acknowledging whatever I'm going through.
Yeah.
And not even trying to pathologise or make me feel bad. Just go, yeah, I get it, understand.
How able are you to communicate that to the people?
Not that easy.
Yeah.
You know that. Yeah, it's not that easy. Like I have to almost, what you were saying, like you before holiday, you almost burnt out.
Yeah.
I feel like I have to get a bit like that.
Yeah.
To show my vulnerability.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when someone reaches in and I'm not even expecting it, that's when it hits me most.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it. And actually, I'll say that like we had to deal with something in the last sort of 72 hours as a team, and everyone just rallied round. And I know it was to solve the thing that needed to be solved, but I felt that it was actually just because they felt like they'd maybe let me down or whatever, and everyone, it didn't become about me, it was just about, right, we need to
Yeah.
solve this. And I just took a lot of energy from that.
So the support, feeling supported as well, was like a
Yeah.
big thing. Yeah.
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 I'm the same, man. When I look at what I need, I think for everyone, yeah, it's that need to be seen and to be heard.
Mm.
But I think this is common, like, if you know, with a little bit of a focus on men, and not to get too stereotypical or to like make generalizations, but I do think that we hide a lot, particularly with people that we think we're supposed to keep safe. Do you know what I mean? So I think I hide most at home.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I think sometimes then you can end up feeling quite lonely when you're at home because you're hiding, not because of any other reason other than it's funny, man. I can come on the podcast or go, you know, do a talk or work or whatever, be really vulnerable, share my vulnerability, give people permission to do that to theirs. But the moment that I'm at home, all of this, it's just, in my case, the trauma comes out, innit? And I hide and I like show that I'm okay, show that I'm all right. And then that being seen and being heard becomes less and less possible because you're hiding. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think the thing about home as well is I don't know how much they want it. And maybe that's a narrative that's playing in your head, but like you play a role
Yeah.
and then like when you aren't playing that role, people don't know how to be with that.
Yeah.
So if you think about our parents that get older, right? There's a point where they stop being the ones that care for you and you begin to care for them.
Yeah.
That's a really hard transition to make.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to think about how to do that really fluidly in a home space when they're not expecting it.
Yeah.
How do you get them to switch just because you want to be different?
Yeah. How much do you feel the pressure as a man? Do you think there is more pressure? Or, and I guess it's a separate question, do you think there is more pressure as a man to provide and protect, like, which we kind of talk now as if that's old school stuff, yeah, that's born out of like power and all of that kind of stuff. But I do feel like to some degree, particularly with the men's work that I do, that we have moved on from that, but there's still like this thing that lingers there where I think a lot of men still certainly feel like they're supposed to do that.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much of that is an internal belief and how much of that is actually still quite ingrained in society, even in any gender that might suggest that they think it's not. Does that make sense?
It does. I think it's both. I think it's deeply wired in to the makeup of men, right?
Yeah.
And even though there is an evolution around roles and, you know, and dynamics and things like that, as there should be, I think it's really not made as much progress as you'd hope just in terms of society, right?
Yeah.
So if you think it's still even though it's, you know, you can do shared parental leave and that sort of stuff now, people do it, and I really champion and embrace people that do it. I think society still doesn't take it seriously, right? Certainly in the UK. In other countries like in the Nordics, it's like it's really, really established and it's a celebrated kind of way of raising children. I think here, probably in the States, right, it's still probably not seen as like a normal thing, right? But it's getting better. Like I'm seeing more and more people do it, and the only, you know, change comes when people start to enact the change, right? They start taking action. But I still think that there's a lot of stigmatism around roles and what role you play, and, you know, in parenting and stuff like that.
How often I might have talked about this in a previous episode in times gone by. How often, if you're writing a work email and someone says, can can you do a call at this time? Right? You might often say, I can't do that because I'm delivering a workshop.
Mhm.
Would you say that typically in an email?
When? During the day?
If
Yeah.
I'm doing a workshop.
Yeah.
Would you
Yeah.
say I can't do that because I'm doing the school run?
Yeah, I would.
You would, yeah.
I would, because I'm 10 years deep in doing this. I
Yeah.
don't really care.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I would now,
I know
but I
everyone-
have to think
yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
I have to think. It still comes into my head, like, and certainly when I started, I thought I can't say I'm doing the school run because that'll come across.
That's when you're starting out, though. You like, there's imposter syndrome, inner critic. There's all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, but I
on.
bet there's a lot of men and women, by the way, or any gender that would struggle to say they're on the school run.
Yeah, but it's different for it's different for women because women are put under pressure. It's so different, and I'd love to have a proper conversation on this.
Yeah.
On this pod, because you're expected to do both, right? And then when you're saying you have to sacrifice work because you've got to go and be a mum, you're pushed in by nefarious arsehole bosses to hide it.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have to.
Yeah.
That's a different thing.
Yeah. Because we've sort of I think one of the things that's happened, and rightly so, yeah, I'm going off on a tangent here, but like in more recent years, yeah, is trying to pitch for that equity inequality, right? Which is like men and women can interchange with the amount of like looking after the home and who goes into working in career life. I do have a concern about that. And it is around the family. I think we're so obsessed with equal opportunities in terms of career. I think we've forgotten the value in what it is to be a stay-at-home parent.
As in the value to the family,
the value to the children, to the family, the value to society.
Yeah.
Like really, a stay-at-home parent, in my opinion, should be the greatest of all in terms of career line.
Yeah. I think it's important not to conflate the two, right? Like the need for equity is really important. Right? Therefore, if a woman wants to have a full-time job, then she should be able to do that, right?
Yeah.
And that means there needs to be a better compromise on who's showing up in the family, right?
Yeah.
What you're saying is if both parents are working, then the children or the families or the dynamics of the family suffer. And so the conversation has to be, okay, right, we're gonna improve the infrastructure such that there is equity for women in the workplace, right? But in doing that, you need to look at making it better and easier and more incentivized for dads to deprioritize their career.
Yeah.
To be at home.
Exactly. But that's the missing link, right? Is that I think we're doing the kind of evening it up, and we're forgetting if we're going to even it up in that way, we need to do something on the other side as well to make sure that there's provision in some way for one of the parents to not feel stigmatized, stupid, or like they care less about their career by investing in the family and the home and the parenting side of stuff. And by the way, in most cases where there's two working parents working full time, it's because they got no fucking choice. And again, I see that as like part of the issue that we're seeing in society is that parents don't have a choice but to go back working full time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Another very big topic, right?
Yeah, a topic in its own.
Like a choice. But just to say that I still think globally we have a patriarchal society. Not think, it's proven, right?
Yeah.
So even outside of, I would say the majority of the conversations around equity are probably happening in Western democracies, right? There's still very patriarchal systems and values outside of the West, right?
Yeah.
So I think the challenge isn't about the challenge isn't just about doing the legislation. It's the cultural piece.
Yeah.
Like I think people still look with a bit of like smugness, or like they look down at, say, dads that want to be a dad at home versus in the workplace. And I think that's a problem, because that's what pushes people away from requesting it, seeking it out.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I mean, like, if you think if somebody was successful, if a man was successful in their career, defining success as, in the normal parameters of what that would mean.
Yeah.
And they had a child and said, my wife is way more passionate about her career than this. We both earn well enough for one of us to stay at home. I'm going to be a stay-at-home dad, and I'm going to quit my career. I don't think there'd be positive reactions from many people.
No.
In that. And even if they weren't negative, I bet they would be along the lines of, are you sure you want to do this? Are you sure you want to give your career up for this?
Yeah.
And like the flip side of that is also that women are sort of just expected in many cases to be the one.
Yeah.
Well, if you have a baby, it's going to be you that stays at home. And that's like, I think that's one of the things that needs to even up and change.
Yeah.
And I think also, like, a lot of dads struggle with the hard work and then sometimes feeling like they have to do even more as well. So like where we're trying to even it up, I do feel sometimes we get caught in this sort of messy place where people don't really know how much they should be doing or what they're supposed to do. Or like I hear men with the men's work that I'm doing all of the time sharing different dad guilts and feeling like they don't do enough, and they work really hard in the day, but then they're shattered when they come home. And I certainly resonate with that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Feeling like when I come home sometimes, the last thing I want to do is play. I've had a big day, a long day. I want to get home and chill now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Look, I know we've got other stuff to talk about, but this is a really important topic as well that, like, we're definitely going to come back to this one, because I think there's at least we've had a change, right? Like, we've been working all day, it's tough, but there's been a change, right? Imagine if you had to do basically 18 to 20 hours of the same thing, right? And I just think that the thing that's coming up for me is empathy, compassion are like two superpowers that you just need to tap into to really understand, like, like what's it like to be in the other person's shoes. And I think the final point to say on this one is there's no cavalry coming, right? So basically, but this is, from boomers down to Gen X, and it's just been passed down this, right? But the generation that's going to change it has to be your generation now. The one that's gone before you, and I include myself in that, they didn't make the changes, right? So the millennials didn't make the changes, right? Not enough. So it's got to be Gen Z. And I just think, the only way you start to change it is if you start to take action around it.
Yeah. Yeah, well said. Well said.
Thank you,
and
sir.
A good way to move us on to the next part of today. So I have a list, I found this online, a list of 43 interesting facts about men. And you're going to pick some numbers.
Okay.
But we're going to do 2 or 3 of these.
Okay.
And then I'm going to read the fact and we'll discuss.
Okay.
So let me just get it up. And you can tell me a number between 1 or 43.
Yeah.
Go on.
5.
Oh, he's gone low. Okay, first fact. Erectile dysfunction is a lot more common than men would have you believe. Beyond the awkward moments it can create, it could be a significant warning sign concerning health issues. And then it goes on to tell us how heart issues. Fucking hell, has you come straight in. Ever had any erectile dysfunction?
No, never.
Is that all you've got to say about it?
Well, what do you want? What's the question?
There is no question. We're just discussing them. Let's do another one. That's the most awkward 100.
Yeah.
No, next question.
No, but I'll say that I think, again, another big topic, but I think pornography has led to men thinking that they need to be something that they're not, and I think it is affecting the psyche, which will obviously have a physical effect for some people.
I think particularly how young children are probably watching it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the first time that I saw sex I found a VHS on the bin outside One Stop. Fucking kid you not. When I was about 13, you used to see the top shelf, yeah,
Yeah.
in the shop.
Yeah.
Then I found this VHS, and there was a porno on there, right?
Yeah.
And that was like the first time I ever see that kind of thing. I must have been about.
You knew enough to take the VHS and go, this could
I
be.
think it was a
this
bit
could
of a
be
thing. I
interesting.
think that was like. I think it was like kind of left there. Like,
Oh, really?
I don't know, man. And then you used to see like the magazines in the bushes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but you know, had I have not found that VHS, I might have seen a few porno mags, or after WWF on Sky Sports 3, it used to go to the 10-minute previews, and you used to see that as a kid, right? I'm making a point here, but now porn is like readily available through the phone, yeah?
Yeah.
So what age do you reckon, I haven't got a statistic here, but what do you reckon the average age?
We've had this conversation, haven't
Oh,
we?
have we?
Yeah,
Well,
a long
mate, I
time
don't
ago.
remember
No,
nothing.
yeah, no, but I think it's like 9 or something.
Is it? It's mad, isn't it?
Something like that.
And that's how they're learning. And because, by the way, just to wrap this bit up, and then we'll do another one. You can give me another number, a better one, please.
I didn't know.
Is because we don't talk about sex properly. Young boys don't learn any different, man. Because there aren't many people talking about it properly, especially not men. Like we probably talked about it in the last episode, but I learned about sex in the pub from blokes talking shit.
Yeah.
It's the only place I learned about
Yeah.
it. Might put a fucking condom on a cucumber at school and told that sex is about creating a baby.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we've got to have better conversations.
Yeah. But
Probably
I
at a younger
I
age.
just think though that social media, readily available access to internet, like it's just so overwhelming now.
Yeah.
It doesn't even matter if you have a conversation.
But
about
we
it, you know?
need. I do think that we need to accept that a bit more. People go, because the thing is, yeah, with this kind of stuff, people want to keep children's innocence, and it's like, well, you gave them the internet,
There's no
so
way.
you fucking took it away.
Yeah.
So now you need something. You need a new plan.
Yeah.
You need a new plan, because you could protect it to a degree, because they'd see the top shelves, and unless they got hold of VHS, you'd protect their innocence in that way in most cases, yeah? The world's different now, so you need a new plan.
It's true.
Give me another number, Has.
27.
Good number. I don't know yet until I get there. Let's hope this... Actually, I made a good conversation. If there were ever a more biased community than Hollywood, they'd have to outdo themselves to topple the biggest trend in Hollywood. This is, of course, that 75% of all leading roles in blockbuster movies are written for men.
Yeah. Wow.
That's a fucking big
Yeah.
number.
Yeah. Not surprising. Not surprising.
I'm slightly surprised by it being that high.
I'm not.
No, that's bad, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
I suppose it's the case, isn't it? Like, when you think of like a thriller, any kind of thriller where it's like somebody going to, you know, catch the kidnappers, or it's always men, isn't it?
It is changing, but it's clearly that's the 25%. It's not.
Yeah.
You know, it's all money, isn't it? It's like who's going to get the box office hits.
Yeah, man.
That's
But
what they-
again, as well, I suppose it teaches young people, and what we kind of, the way that our minds are, like what we see and what we view. But again, if you think of it from a men's perspective, all of the good, strong men that you see on these films, right? Good, strong men, in quote marks, they're all like fearless. They all overcome obstacles. They don't really get anxious. They're tough. They deal with everything. They don't get emotionally overwhelmed. And so if you grew up in an environment where you don't have a decent role model for what a man can be in today's world, you're probably going to latch on to those things, isn't it?
Luckily, we follow Dwayne Johnson. Because he's the epitome of everything.
Yeah, exactly. That is the type of role model you want. Someone that shoots gear most days, by the look of it. Give me...
That's lies, man. That's lies.
I love you.
It's all. He's
if
a
you're
natty.
ever in London and you
He's
want
a
to come on the
natty,
pod,
yeah.
he's a natty. Yeah. Right. Give me another number. Let's do. Should we do one more?
Yeah, all right. Let's do.
We've got plenty of time.
Let's do my age, 29. Okay, I'm only joking. 31.
We're going to do both of them.
What? I thought we had time for one.
Okay. Well, let's do one then.
31.
There was some really good ones in here, and I think you've picked a load of shit ones.
Well, you pick a good one then.
I might have a look and pick one after. Exercise works different for men. While exercise has abundant benefits for both male and females, the way it affects the body differs between genders. Where women burn more fat during exercise, men burn more carbohydrates.
I did not know that.
Did not know that. Don't care that I never knew it either.
This has been fun, hasn't it? Have you enjoyed yourself?
I learned something new.
Look at that.
Wait a minute. Let me just find one more because there was some good ones in here.
Well, we haven't found them yet, have we?
Wait. Can you ad lib or something?
Well, you're not leaving any room because you're just saying wait.
Okay, here's a good one.
Oh.
That men are thick-skinned.
Okay.
And no, this isn't a metaphor. Men really have thicker skin. Studies have shown that a man's skin is about 25% thicker compared to that of a woman.
What are the benefits of that, do you think? Or the hindrances?
Well, one of the main benefits are less leathers on a motorbike are needed.
Oh. Are you just making that up?
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. I'll leave you on this one.
Okay.
This is number 1 in the list of 43.
Is this like the top fact? Is it?
Well, it's
Or-
number 1 on the list of facts, mate. So make of this what you will. I'm going to read it, and then I want your one comment before we move on to the main segment of today.
Couldn't come soon enough. Let's go.
Sorry, can you just say what you said again?
I will not.
No, just repeat it.
Couldn't come soon enough.
Men also have a G-spot. Let's get this one out of the way right from the start. The male body also includes a G-spot, elusive as it might be to some. According to scientists, beyond its primary functions, the male's prostate doubles as a center point for many nerves. Stimulation of the prostate has been recorded as delivering quite a lot of pleasure.
Pressure.
So what's your parting comments on that? I like that you said, what did you say before I started?
I'm not going to play your childish games.
So
Josh.
tell me about that G-spot, Hass. What does it feel like?
Do you remember Wayne Marshall?
No.
Oh, darn. He sang a song called G-Spot. Anyway, I'm not going to sing it.
That was shitter than I'd hoped. It's International Men's Day.
Yeah.
So let's go a little bit deep and just touch on, before we go into, I want to talk about it in another way as well. But the theme for this year is zero male suicide. Have you got any thoughts on that as a theme?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think it's a really powerful North Star.
Mm.
I think it's dosed in reality.
Yeah.
I think you can never get there.
Yeah.
But the intent is to make life okay for everyone, such that they don't see suicide as the way out.
Yeah. Why do you think it's a massive question, but why do you think the rates are so high in men?
In men,
Yeah.
well, it's a lot what we've talked about. Right, it's what we talk about here. Is there's no way. Well, there's not no way. Sorry, there are not enough ways for men to understand what they're feeling. You don't have the communities around you to explore the pain you might be going through. You're told from a young age as a boy, and I'm not saying that women don't have this as well, right? But man up, toughen up, don't deal with those emotions, and so for 25% of the population, is so powerful that they take their own life.
Yeah.
And for other people, they live in numbness, they just don't explore it. And they go to their deathbed not having, understood themselves or explored it.
Yeah. One thing that you said in there that I think is something that needs to be explored, and it's not easy to do so. And you might be surprised at the thing that I'm going to pick out, but you stopped halfway through and said, I'm not saying women have it any different or it's worse, right? Because the balance of power has been in the hands of men for so long, right? And probably still is.
Yeah.
If you're not careful, and I can even feel it when I'm talking about it publicly, there will be some people who when they hear you talking about, or us or one talking about the plight of men, that will simply just say, you've had it really easy, you got nothing to moan about.
Yeah, I think that's why I said it.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of like, well, you know, we have had it easy. I probably inadvertently try and want to balance the conversation.
Yeah.
But you're right. Yeah, I think you should be able to have, you know, 2 conversations wholeheartedly with integrity.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And like both things can be true, right?
Yeah.
Because
True,
I speak to a lot of men, and you know what's really hard for them is, and this is difficult to talk about. I know a lot of men that are in or have been in relationships with women who are quite emotionally abusive, right?
Yeah.
And one of the main tactics that an emotionally abusive woman will use on a man is reactive abuse. So what I mean by that is, if it's an emotionally abusive woman in a relationship towards a man, they will push and push and push that man until that man lashes out in some way. Now, I don't mean physically. I don't know if there's ever a reason for that, right? There's never an excuse for that. But like lashing out and hitting something, a wall or something like that, and then being made to feel like they're the abusive one, right? Because their behavior is abusive. I hear that a lot from men. And when I'm able to sit back and listen to them, is it objectively? Yeah. You listen to them and they are killing themselves. They're like, I don't want to be this man. I don't know why. And like when you get them to tell you what's going on, you think you're in an emotionally abusive relationship, being abused by a woman. And your reactions are leading you to come across as the abusive one.
Mm.
And that I see that a lot. Very, very difficult to talk about. If you're in that situation, it's very difficult to talk about, yeah? To say, well, I ended up smashing something in the house or something, yeah? And if you don't manage to get the full context, because what a man would also do, by the way, if they've done that, is then take responsibility for it, and this is me. Not all men, yeah? Some men are obviously a lot of men are a nightmare, but the men that I'm talking about who are in those kind of relationships, they'll often take responsibility for it.
Let me ask you a question. I'm trying to listen to this. And I can see that I can see how that happens, right? I think you could equally have 2 women having a conversation and talking about how much that shows up, right? With women, and it's gaslighting, right? It's basically, I'll push you. What's interesting though is, do you think if a woman was in an abusive relationship and let's, for this example, let's say it's with someone of the opposite sex, with a man, right? And if that man is more physically imposing, and do you just think that they want to do that as well, but can't?
What they want to...
So if a woman is in an abusive relationship in the same way, right? Just the roles are reversed, right? Yeah. And pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed. What you're saying is with a man, what will happen is he'll lash out, right? Some way. Right?
Yeah.
Do you think a woman can do that in the same way?
I think they'll lash out and be labelled probably quicker.
Yeah.
Like they'll be labelled as a crazy woman.
Yeah, okay.
As a crazy person quicker, yeah. But this is the big issue with it, is that when you start talking about it from a man's perspective, you have to bring in the woman and keep saying, but loads of women have it really bad with men, and they do. But you have to take every person's individual experience in its own context. And you cannot treat a man who finds himself in an abusive relationship with the opposite sex, in this case a woman, differently, simply because there are way more cases where it's the other way around.
Yeah, no, and I don't think I was...
I know you wasn't.
I wasn't trying to point
I know
to
you
that.
wasn't doing that.
Yeah.
However, I think we'd both be lying if we don't say, when I just said what I said about the man being abused by a woman and all that, it's a big part of you going,
In
there's
your
be a
head
lot of
going,
women going,
how's
fucking,
that, yeah, how's that?
how's that affecting women that have been, and I understand that, but my point is, men that are being emotionally and coercively controlled by women, both, by the way, partners and parents, so mums,
Yeah.
yeah, is really high, way higher than we think, and yet you never see it talked about.
No.
Because if you if you saw a man come out and talk about this publicly online, I was in an abusive relationship with a woman, she did this, and I ended up kicking the door. He ain't getting love and support.
No.
In most cases.
Yeah.
And again, that's not to say, I'm not trying to say one's worse than the other or one exists more than the other. It's just that both of these things do exist.
Yeah.
And actually, if you think about it, you wouldn't want to do that in any other form of abuse, would you? If somebody brought the abuse to you, go, yeah, this is quite bad abuse. But there are people that face a lot worse abuse more regularly.
Yeah, I don't think you ever. Well, okay. So it was genuine curiosity around, like, do you, like, it was genuine curiosity around. Again, it's around sort of, around society and what can the physical form be used by one sex over the other? That's what I was genuinely curious about.
Yeah.
Not saying that one negates the other. What I'm really interested in is how you have the conversation such that it doesn't ever become about the abuser being belittled. Because do you remember, like, not do you remember, you probably see it a lot, right? When
the abused being belittled, you mean?
Yeah, the abused, that's what I mean. You see it a lot in TV, right? Where, like, if say a man is being physically abused by a woman, like, it's almost a joke.
Yeah.
And it's portrayed that way. Again, it's again with those, societal things. I think this is why a lot of men bottle stuff up, because the world isn't quite ready for them to talk and to share in the way that a lot of them need to.
Yeah. And then you get like and that's because of how they be perceived as well. Because, like, it's interesting, and I'm thinking as I go here. So, but if a man was to leave a marriage because he was unhappy, so he left. If he had wife and kids, and he left because he was unhappy in that, and it was unrepairable.
Yeah.
I think in most cases, society would view that as him abandoning his family.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wonder how many men you lose because they stayed because they didn't want to be seen as somebody that abandoned their family.
I don't know.
It's an interesting question, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
And again, if you flip that on its head, I think it's probably the same, if not worse, for women if they were to leave. Actually, it's way. If a woman left a family, left a man with kids, and went to live on their own, they'd be viewed way, way differently.
Yeah.
To what a man would.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's interesting, isn't it? Because did you see the video of? Fucking, this is just coming to my head. There's a guy who recently took his own life. He's like an ex-gangster, got on the TV and stuff like that. No. Old guy.
No.
Forgive me for not remembering his name, but he did a video. It went round online before he ended it all, where he did a video and he said, as you can see, I'm of sound mind. I've had a really, really good life. It's been great. But I'm sure he says rheumatoid arthritis or something like that. And he says, and I can't go on anymore. I don't want to live on in pain. And he goes on to sort of say that, and that's why I'm doing this. I don't want you to feel sad for me. It would have been way more sad if I carried on living and stuff like that. I do think that, and again, this is probably a bit of an overgeneralization, but I wonder what the difference is, and this would be something to look up, between how many men and women think about suicide, like really seriously think about it, and how many men actually carry it through. Because I know there are studies that say the actual true desire to take your own life is not that different between men and women.
Right.
But men have a tendency to go through with it, which is interesting, isn't it?
That is interesting.
Yeah.
Because, and I wouldn't want to speculate here, but because I've genuinely never, to this day, had a suicidal thought.
Really? Have you ever thought about wanting to run away completely?
Not that often.
No.
And I don't even know if that's when I was a kid and something upset me. But since I've been what I class as an adult, no, I've never felt, for me, a day where that felt like an outcome that would be better for me.
Yeah.
Never. And I'm not.
It's mad. It is mad, right?
Yeah.
Because I have lived a life where it feels sort of relatively normal to think that. And I laugh sort of in a kind of laughing at a horrible situation way, where that's a relatively normal thought for me.
Do you believe it? Or do you think I'm
Sorry, do I believe you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
No, I do believe you.
You know me, right? Like,
Yeah, because I know you. Yeah, I do believe you. Yeah. But it's such a different way from, I mean, look, until things changed, I sort of obsessively thought about it. But in my sort of 11 and a half years of sobriety, it pops up a lot, man. Even as a glancing thought, well, I won't be able to do this. Sometimes I could just be like if somebody was like, oh yeah, you know, what do you reckon you'll be doing when you're 60? And there'll be a voice in my head that's like, fuck that, getting to that age, I'll never make it. And it's like, and then it can be as flippant as that. And I think that's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know, when I'm 60, I want to be
Yeah.
I don't know, retired or whatever.
Yeah.
To on difficult days, it being like,
Do you think the more introspective you are, the more of a thinker you are, the more correlation there is to those sorts of thoughts?
yeah, man. And also, yeah, you know, if you're thinking it regularly, there's a lot of people that will say, and maybe I go along with this,
It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah, and also, or the voice that's telling you that is the most honest one in your head because it knows it takes all of your struggles into account. And it's not that it's right, but it's being the most honest because it's the one desperately saying we need to do something, otherwise I can't cope. But if you've never thought like that, right? So that just sounds, I can see your brain going, I can't even, normally you can find an inroad to have a bit of a conversation about what I've said, right? Yeah. But because you never think it
doesn't register.
It just does. You're like, no, I can't imagine ever thinking.
I wonder if my nurture has something to do with it though. Because from day dot, not quite, but like from 10 months, I just get on with it.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying other people don't. I'm just saying for me.
Yeah.
I live at the surface. I didn't realise that. It's only since we've been doing this, and even in the last 12 months, that I've started to dig a bit deeper.
Yeah, I always use my older brother, and I know he listens to this as a bit of an example. But like, when we go out on our bike, we haven't done for ages. Luke, get hold of me. We should go out. But I would sometimes throw things out. You get a bit deeper in a conversation when you're out on the bike. I'd sometimes throw conversations out, and he'd be like, "Yeah, I've never thought of it that way," and I'd be like, I think of that shit every day and try my fucking hardest to not think about it. Not killing myself, but like, I might have thrown something out to him. Well, you know, like, what do you think about this in our lives and all sorts of stuff like that? And he says, I've never really thought about it. And I think, fucking hell, man.
Yeah.
Like, my mind thinks a million things all of the time, man. And I think that's what's hard. That's why sometimes the brain goes, this is fucking overloaded, man. If we don't find a way to switch this off, then we're fucked. But then that's why somebody like me becomes addicted, yeah? Because if you find a way in alcohol or whatever to switch it off, then you're drawn to it, innit?
Do you know something that's popping into my head, though? Is like, so I'm not quite, like I can talk about deep stuff or I can do introspection, but I think there are racehorse types, right? I'm what is known as a crusader type, which is just keep galloping, right? And then at some point when it all stops, maybe I'm just holding it all at bay, right? And then when I stop and slow down, that's when it starts to flood in, and that could be either I'm ready for it in my life or it could be overwhelming at that point.
Yeah.
Now, I think I know enough about myself to know I'll be all right. But for a lot of other people whose purpose has been to drive, and when they stop driving and their sense of purpose disappears or whatever that looks like, if loved ones start to leave them, that's when things get really tough. So let's take that gangster. He had purpose, he had mission, he had whatever. But now that he stopped, the body started to take over.
Yeah.
And he said, I'm done now.
Yeah. That relates, when we went to Egypt on the plane, my boy was watching the David Beckham documentary. Have you watched it yet?
Yeah.
One thing that I've noticed on all of these top athletes, Beckham, I've said top athletes, and then the next one I'm going to, he is a top athlete, Peter Crouch. I watched his Prime documentary recently.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't seen it.
Like really successful athletes and stuff like that. The one thing they all have in common, the male ones, is that it's almost hard to watch how they talk about their dad. Beckham would say, my dad used to make me stand over the field and take corners and hit pinpoint every single time, and we weren't allowed to go home until he'd done it. Peter Crouch, dad was even more hard. Would make me do this and was like...
Used to be in advertising.
Wasn't interested unless he pushed himself to the max and all that kind of stuff. And these people become greatness, what we call greatness, and it's just interesting, isn't it? Because I watch it and think, I ain't like that with my kids, and I don't want to be like that with my kids. But maybe I need a bit more of it.
Yeah.
With my kids.
Yeah.
Maybe I know for a fact, I'm too soft sometimes with my kids. Yeah. Like, I'm too people pleasing, I don't push them or anything. I just think.
What if you reframe that? What if you're not too anything? What if you're just the right amount?
Yeah.
It's that narrative, isn't it? Because we think we should be that, but actually we're not. We're just... I was thinking the same. I was like, oh, yeah, but like that's what leads to greatness, right?
Yeah.
But...
Do you ever fully feel like you're a good dad?
No.
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 I fucking feel emotional saying that. Because like when I think about the Beckham stuff and then I think about like what I'm like and stuff like that. Does anybody ever feel like, do you know what I mean? Even does Beckham's dad must look and think, does he look and go, fucking nailed it?
I'd say he probably does.
But like, how many dads do that, man? Like all the dads I go when I'm at the men's,
But there's also something that you're forgetting as well, right? So the dads might feel like that those particular ones might feel like, okay, my job is to do X, Y, and Z, right? So it's to get him playing for Manchester United and then get him captain in England and all that sort of stuff, right? So on those terms, yes, he's nailed it. But whenever you watch those elite documentaries, right, and it could be sports, it could be music, it could be academia, there's always something missing. They're always looking for, and Thierry Henry talks about this.
Yeah, he's recently, you sent me that video, innit?
Where all I was looking for was that nod. You did well. That bit of love. And it's never there.
Yeah.
Because there's something that gets removed. And so on that front, I feel like I'm a lot better, than a lot of the other dads, right? But do I ever feel like I'm nailing it fully? Fully is the key word.
Yeah.
No.
And how much do you think, we haven't got time, we're going to wrap this up, but how much of our own lives do you think are driven, and for people that haven't listened to episodes where we've talked about it previously, I lost my dad when I was 9, you lost yours
10 months.
10 months, I wonder how much we're driven by a need from a nod from our dads that we'll never get.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And like, by the way, that's not like, I don't feel that consciously.
No.
As I'm sure you don't. But when you hear Thierry Henry saying he's like looking for that, and you hear like, even when, like you say, there's something missing, when you look at the Crouch one, he almost sort of confides in his father-in-law in the end, doesn't he? Because his dad was just so, he's like, it's nice to have somebody who just listens and loves me for who I am.
Sees and hears.
Yeah, sees and hears him. Interesting question that we can't unpack though. if Peter Crouch was raised by his father-in-law,
Would he
who
be?
just saw and heard it,
Would he be married to Abby?
would he be married to Abby and be the footballer that he was?
Probably not.
It's mad though, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's interesting, isn't it?
But not the footballer, but he might have been something else.
A virgin, as he says in his interview. Have you seen that interview? He got interviewed and they asked him when he was at the height of his career.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think you'd be doing if you weren't a footballer? He said,
Yeah,
probably
I've
be a
seen that.
virgin.
He's very witty.
He's
isn't he?
very good, mate. Yeah.
But yeah, no, what I will say is maybe it is a nod from our dads, but I do feel like we're trying to fill a void that can never be filled.
Yeah.
We're trying to teach ourselves the things that we were never taught,
Yeah.
and so we'll never get to that because we'll never feel like you know what I mean? Like and I think that's what it is.
And I think that's, to finish on this, I think that's the human condition to a degree. I think when you get deep enough with anyone, what you'll find is they spend their life trying to fill a hole in their soul that nothing fills. Do you know what I mean? And then like when you hear about people on their deathbed, they realize actually all of the things were there, but I was out chasing something else and I never got it and I missed everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, powerful, mate. Mate, good conversation. We missed out a massive part of what we were supposed to do because we had such a good conversation.
Time, I think it is a good.
Yeah, we will do it. We'll bring it in the next one. Mate, very much enjoyed this. And looking forward to the next one.
Yeah.
See you soon.